Okay.
Oh, that was so fun.
Welcome to the Moframe podcast, where Uganda's creativity comes alive. Join us as we explore the highs and the lows of the creative journey, sharing real stories and experiences. We're here to showcase the best of Uganda's creative scene with engaging discussions and insights.
We have
So
started.
let's
That's
dive
how I
in.
usually
Oh, that's how
randomly
we
just
start.
start my podcasts. Yeah,
That's what sets you apart.
it's what sets me apart.
Okay.
Woo! Simeon, before we even get serious, what's your one
It's
go-to
really serious.
dance move?
Ooh. It's that. Literally, guys.
Oh, this is-
ever since
so
right
you're on
now,
the
ever
piano.
since I learned that, guys, like I can even be doing it without thinking, and like a beat comes and I'm just like, my whole family knows it.
Yeah.
We're cutting that.
Yeah.
We're cutting that out of the thing.
That was an
Oh, okay,
icebreaker.
sure.
That was icebreaker.
That was nice. That was nice. That was nice. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the MF pod. Before even we get there, there'll be like a nice girl. I always say this. Like,
Yeah, you
hey
always
guys,
do.
welcome to. Anyway, hey Fassi.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, the one who's saying.
Yeah, the one who is doing the nice voice.
I'm excited for today. Period. I'm
Period.
so excited for today. We have an amazing host. Before I could think in the video, there's going to be like a black screen here. Like no one is like reveal. Let me stop.
Surprise.
He is a dynamic artist
Ooh.
with a deep-rooted passion in musical theater. From the age of 14, this guy has gained expertise in singing, acting, dancing, and fashion. He brings multiple faces to the stage. He's also educated in psychology and media management. He has undergone an extensive, not even intensive, extensive training, including 6 years of professional vocal training, 12 months of acting studies, and 2 years with the Symphony Dance Company. The dance stroke was actually it has a history.
That's where it comes from.
He has competed nationally and internationally in poetry, singing, and dance. These are the real creatives.
Yeah, that's why he is mine. Watch out, everyone.
Over the past 5 years, he has showcased his talents in various theatrical productions. I don't know if I'm going to say this name the right way. Gratiano
Graciano.
Graciano.
in The Merchant of Venice and Pickering in My Fair Lady. He has also wrote and directed and acted in a play that has been focusing on mental health awareness. Recently, he graduated with a diploma in musical theater from the Yenze Theater Conservatoire, and he's now an assistant director for the musical She Loves Me, bringing his passion and collaborative spirit to the forefront. Hey, Simeon.
This is
Oh my
the part where
God.
drum rolls come in.
After all that, I should just be like, oops,
I'm done here.
who's that? I actually thought about to be like, who is he talking about?
Right?
Who's that?
Is that me?
Who that is?
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
You developed passion for music at a very, very young age. 14 years old. What sparked that?
Family. I have an auntie who used to. So I moved back to Uganda when I was 8, and I lived with my grandma and all her daughters. And I had an auntie who used to serve in church. And I used to go, like, church was such a religious thing. Like, every Sunday, like, you must go to church. And when I started going to church with her, I chose, she was like, I'm going to say this, but like, no one should catch her feeling. She was my favorite auntie, but like, I love all of you the same. But yeah, she was like,
You're
she was the, that auntie.
Yeah.
That auntie, you're like, oh my God, she's the one. I just want to be with her all the time.
Yeah.
So I used to go really early, like at 6 with her for service, and I would watch them do sound check. I would watch her sing. I would watch her at KPC in now Watoto. And I'd watch that and I'd be like, this is good stuff.
this is
Like,
what I
just
want
this
to
is
be
what
part of,
I just
yeah.
got drawn to the stage. Not even just singing, but just being able, because being in the audience for every single service made me see how people felt, how someone on stage was able to make someone feel. You're in the congregation, but people are reacting to where you're taking them. And I found that is very, what's the word? There's a lot of humility in that power. Yeah.
So you picked up dancing, singing, acting.
Yes.
How do you match for Ugandan? Because this podcast really focuses on like that young Ugandan creative. Some of us who have experienced the thing, we are like, okay, yeah, it's possible to dance. I grew up when I didn't like musicals. Up to now, every time I'm every time I'm watching a cartoon and they start
There is
singing,
a musical.
I'm like,
Really? You're like,
I'm like,
really?
guys,
Unrealistic.
can you just go to Spotify?
And put
So,
it there.
yeah, like, so how, as a Ugandan, have you been able to merge these three into your skill as?
I must say it's been a journey because in the beginning, I have a very supportive family. And when I started showing that I wanted to sing, immediately my mom was like, okay, vocal training. The moment then I was like, but then I also kind of want to dance. My mom was like, dance training. And she was like, I was like, I want to act. She was like, okay.
That's where we draw the
Because
line.
acting at that time was, I think the stigma is still sort of fading. It's still kind of there now, but acting at the time was such a, really a career in acting. So I
Yeah.
started focusing on singing and dancing because also that's what I had relatives who were doing that. I had an uncle who was an artist who was traveling at Bayimba Festival. I had my aunties who used to sing. So it was more accepted then. So I started with singing and acting. But then I still had the passion for dance. So my mom always told me that cultivate what you have and the rest will work itself out. So because of that, I wanted to make sure that everything of mine was on the same level, which is something I knew not many people were doing. So I wanted to set myself apart in that way. I wanted to make sure my singing was at the same level as my dancing, at the same level as my acting. And initially, even for my acting, I decided to take initiative and do online, just do research, watch videos. So balancing those three things came to me wanting to make sure that I am well-rounded in all fields. So I am blessed to say I have about the Ugandan aspect. I'm blessed to say I have a lot of exposure in like different entertainment aspects, like from different countries. I've seen what people are doing, and I never wanted the Ugandanness in me to stop myself from setting that as a bar.
Ugandanness in me.
No, because a lot of Ugandans have that thing. I mean, no shade.
True. No.
But
None
Ugandans have that
taken.
thing where they're like, but will I ever do it here? Will it ever? I refused that mindset. I told myself, yes, I will find a way because of that mentality my mom put in my head. Cultivate what you have, and the rest will fall in place.
Oh, cultivate what
Cultivate what you have, and the rest will fall into place.
Yeah.
You speak somewhere about where am I even losing my train of thought because of that.
No, you're cultivating.
The rest shall fall into
You're
place.
cultivating what you have.
Yes. Exposure. You say you've traveled, you've seen different cultures and whatnot.
Yeah.
What one thing do you borrow from that you think any early career creative should do? What if someone doesn't have the exposure you have? What should they invest in? Because you talked about watching YouTube
Videos, yeah.
to learn how to act, but you still were exposed. How do you match the two?
The first thing you need to do is release yourself from those perimeters. Release yourself from those because there are those perimeters we put ourselves in. We're like, oh, in this country we don't do this, so why think about it? No, be the first one. And so for me, it was what I can tell people, that the first thing they need to do is it's the mindset. Take yourself out of that box and say, anything is possible. Anything is possible where I am. Yes, that may not be the reality, but when you change the mindset, then you're able to put motivation to your actions and say, my motivation is I want to be the one to be the first one. I want to be the one to this is the path I'm taking. It may not be the path that has been taken by anyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is the path I'm taking. And it starts with the mindset, because I know people who still have never traveled anywhere, but they're still very, very exposed because they go out in the age of social media. Really, you have no excuse to let be exposed.
True.
That's
Go
the
and
point.
Yeah.
In the age of
you
social
have
media,
no
yeah.
excuse, because you can go and research anything and find a video for anything. I used to hate reggae. I'm going to use it as an example. I used to hate reggae music when I started doing vocal classes. My trainer told me, "Oh no, try listening to multiple genres," and I'd be like,
I can't do reggae.
I want to listen to Mariah Carey and R&B and whatnot. I didn't even like country. Like, I really hated those genres. Like rock, I'd be like, ew, like wow.
Who is going to listen to that? Yeah.
But that was a mindset, right? It was definitely a mindset of, I don't even think this music works, because country music wasn't a thing, or maybe even still isn't really a thing in Uganda.
Yeah.
So I was like, but like, what even is country music? Until I opened my mind to realize that it was just the lack of exposure I had to country music that was making me think country music wasn't it. So then I went, and against my inhibitions, I went and started listening to country. And when I started listening to reggae music, when I started listening to different genres, and the live performances and interviews of people who have done this music, and then I learned that there's this whole world
Yeah.
that I didn't know about.
didn't know about.
You know, and so it starts like that, forcing yourself to do research about something that either you may not like or you've never seen before. You know, I didn't actually start out liking or knowing about musicals. I started learning about musicals, I think, when I was now 15, when I was really a teenager. But then I thought, there's this place called Broadway where they do all these musicals on stage. I was like, okay, let me do research about. Let me find out how much are they paid. What do the actors do? What does it take to put together a musical? At the time, there was no vision for a musical in Uganda.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, that was more than 10 years ago. There was no picture, like there were no musicals that were happening, at least not that I knew about. And so it's not like I had anything to say, oh, that's a musical, I've seen a musical. But I went and did research and found all these things, and I was like, okay, there's this a whole new world. So I'm obsessed with breaking the boundaries of my mind and
Ooh.
going beyond what I know and understand.
So you keep saying I was exposed, and I'm thinking, would you consider yourself lucky to have been able to get all that? Because you got to know about all this at 14, 15. You were still very young. There's so many creatives out there who get into the field way after high school. They just get realized after high school, okay, I need to put my life together. I need to figure out these things. And then they get to the creative scene in like 19, 20, and very, very late. So would you think you had an advantage to have all these things? And what would you encourage a young creative that didn't get all that chance or opportunity? Would you tell them to, okay, I don't know what English word. What English word would you give that? A young creative is now 20 something. Yeah,
Yes.
it's late. Like
Yes.
some things you cannot
Yeah.
start. You can't start going to church and looking at your aunt.
Yeah,
They feel like they're on a timetable that the clock is ticking. So,
yeah.
what would you encourage? And looking at theater, I know that not so many people still know about theater and the musicals and everything. So, in that field, since you're in that field, what would you say about that? What would you encourage someone to do?
So going back maybe to the beginning of the question, I do feel that I'm blessed, but I do think I was blessed for my time. But I think that the creatives now that are in their late teens or earlier 20s are blessed enough to have a lot of access to information. That's what I say I was blessed, because the information I got from traveling, I couldn't have really gotten easy access to it, because, first of all, phones, like we got phones we got phones strictly for communication, right?
Yeah.
I was an only child. I was at home. We had this
It's a call.
Motorola phone. It's just call.
Are
Yeah.
you
Is there
okay?
anything wrong?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
what is needed at home?
Yeah.
But then that in this new age, these teenagers and people in their early 20s wanting to start out, I will contradict what you've said and said I don't think it's ever too late.
Okay.
Because I don't think, because once you're aligned with what you feel makes sense for you, it's never too late to be happy. Why refuse yourself the joy of living in your purpose
True.
just because you feel like time has gone? If that joy is coming when you're 50,
Go
it
for
must come
it.
when you're 50. Yeah, don't even a day. In my opinion, a day of that joy is better than 10 years of the
Regretting not doing
regretting
it,
not
yeah.
doing it.
So it's not too late to become.
I believe it's not too late. But then still, it requires you to get out of what you know,
Yeah.
out of your the box that you've put yourself in, and that requires you to do research about things you've never had before. Do research. The show I'm doing now, that I'm helping direct for, has pushed me to actually learn how to do ample research. I'm doing a show right now that is set in the 1930s. I know nothing about
About
the
the
1930s.
You are
Before
not
we get
born.
there, before we get to that show.
So it's like because of that, I am able to expand my mind. I want to do research. I want to do lots and lots of research. I'm forcing myself to do lots of research, and that is what gets you into the creative space. That's what gets you the inspiration you need to be a creative.
Speaking of musicals,
Before we get there,
okay.
you know, when you mentioned that it's never too late, you know what came to my mind? Your singing career came to my mind.
Come on! Oh my goodness.
Rev keeps saying, he keeps saying, I want to sing. But we keep telling him, don't try that. So it's never too
Never
late.
too late. 5 years
Never
from
too
now,
late.
You
if I
might
have an
the
album
album.
out there,
Release the
or an
EP, you know?
and that will be
Let's
my
have a listening
style.
We
party.
are not
That-
ready.
That will be my
We are
style.
not.
Come on,
We are not
exactly.
ready.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because about that thing of not being too late, I truly
Yeah.
believe it's about you and not about people, right? It's about what you feel you want to put out. There are
So as
artists-
long as you are ready,
Yes, there are artists out there. I do understand this. It might sound delusional because people think, "Oh, the money aspect."
Yeah, yeah.
What? But there is a way. There is a way to do what you love and still find a way to sustain yourself. I started. I was also privileged to start working when I was 16. And I started working. I started working at Kampala Fashion Week and assisting the team.
yeah.
And I mean, when I say working, I said that very loosely because
Like-
I was
He was helping
working,
out.
but like,
Was it
I
voluntary?
mean, I don't even
or
blame
what?
them. Like, but there was no salary per se.
So you
okay.
But then it was
volunteered.
still work that
Okay,
I
it
was
was work,
doing.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was volunteer work, and that I used to love throwing myself in volunteer work because I'm like, how else will I learn? I am not a reader. I like reading novels, but I don't like reading for information.
Information. Thank
So-
you. Thank you.
I watch videos, I listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
and I go out and do.
What you
And then learn as I'm
Yeah.
doing. Like a lot of these places I would go and be like, that's another thing I want creatives to understand is sometimes it just requires you to go out and do. I was working as a receptionist in a hospital at the time, but on the weekends I'd be like, I would go and tell Ronnie from Crystal Mondo's, how can I help? What can I do? You're sending me? Send me.
Send
You
me, I'm here.
What do I need to do?
That's interesting. I didn't even. I would
even-
never think that you are a receptionist at a point.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Exactly.
either. I
But
wouldn't
like,
either.
see,
yeah.
that was what was supplementing my transport and was enabling me to do what I need to do. But I was still going out. The main goal was the weekend.
That's key.
So the job I was doing as a receptionist was
The sub.
yeah, it was supporting my real vision.
And this is a constant thing in all the podcasts that we have recorded. Kasoreka said, get a job on
Yeah,
the
get
side.
a job, not
that is going to-
something. Yeah.
Push your career. Mitiripe said the same thing.
She said, actually, something she said, he said it's not about having it all together at the start. And what she's doing right now, she said in her episode, she said,
Please go listen
I
to the
don't,
episode.
Yes, please.
I knew very well that I could not finance the publishing of my album all at once. So she's like, what can I do right now? Release one at a time, because I can't afford to do
the
everything
whole
all
EP and
together.
put it out there.
Yeah, so I think that's something creatives should pick on as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find the idea that it's one fixed way, right? So if I'm a creative, I need
I
to go
should
down the
fix-
creative route.
Yeah.
There are so many
There's
things
so
in the
many
corporate
things.
world. There's so many things that can aid your creative journey. But that's the vision, right?
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
creative
yeah.
thing is the
Creative
real
thing is the
vision.
real thing.
And then all these things you come to help supplement that. So I'm well aware of the reality that it is very expensive to be in the creative industry.
Yeah.
To try and like go for auditions and as an actor, whatever it is you're doing in the creative industry. But then that should remain the vision. And then if you do go and do other things and try and get money and try, that's the vision, that's
Yeah.
the goal. So that's the streamline you're going to. Even if you divert and do a corporate job, I did a corporate job for 2 years before I came back into the creative industry, and I hated it. I really did. I won't lie. I mean, sorry to my bosses if you're watching this.
It is a 9 to
Like
5.
I really hated that job, but I
Nothing
did. I
personal.
worked.
You delivered.
I delivered.
Yeah, like
yeah.
you can hate actually the job
Yeah.
and
But
still,
still
deliver
deliver,
good
yeah.
work.
Exactly, but I
Yes.
had the vision. I had my
Yes.
vision. I knew that this is what I want to do, and I'm only doing this to supplement that. I worked in PR, but I'm telling you the things that I learned in PR are informing the things I'm doing right now, even as a creative director and whatever I'm doing. They're informing me so much, and all the things I learned were not in vain. And yet, I did not stick in that creative thing and stay there.
Oh, nice. Let's go musicals. We have seen Graciano and
You were still looking
Pickering
for
as
the
Yes,
word.
yes.
Like, I need
It's
to
like, is it
pronounce it
Graciano?
right.
Shakespeare has a
Graciano,
tendency to do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. What was your first main stage moment? Like, for me, this was it. For me, I think I'm now
So
going to
first,
do this.
standout moment, not just first.
Not just first, like
First
you stepped on, you
standout
finished, and
moment.
you're like, I think I'm going to constantly do this.
I would say maybe relatively recent. I think I was 18. I mean, it's not recent, but like
Yeah, I said recently, and I wanted to ask how old
And it's
are
not
you?
recent.
well, it's not. I say recent because I've been on. My first performance was when I was 14. That was my very first performance. So I mean, like, it. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, recent.
We shall not
versus-
discuss my age.
Recently.
But yes, when I was, a friend approached me and she was like, I really don't like the fact that we don't have a mental health helpline for a suicide helpline in Uganda, and I'm working with a couple of friends, but want to do a show that brings awareness to it. So can you write it? And I had never written a show in my life.
Okay. This is 18.
Yeah, this is
18
18. I mean,
years.
in my teen years, I had not written a show for anything.
Yeah.
But I said yes. I want to take the challenge. I want to see what I can do. So I wrote the script for that. Of course, with help. I that's something I also encourage a lot of people to do. Always ask for help when you take up some collaborate. Because I asked. There were Peter Kagai was one of the influential people who helped me. There are so many people that helped me like come up with the story and write what I need to write. I would send it to them. They would be like, "Oh, work on this." So I wrote that, and then midway in rehearsals, the producer was like, "I want you to act in it." I was like, "What do you mean?" So she said, "I was like, what do you mean you want me to act in it? I'm gonna write the thing and act in it."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, I think you understand the story," because we used to have sit downs with the producer and the cast members and create the story together. Because I didn't want it to just be me. Yeah? I wanted us to sit down and think, what do you think is relevant for this story? And it was a very emotional story of this character who's going through depression and comes to a point where he commits suicide. And she said, the way you explain it, I don't think anyone else can explain it and do it as well as you because you understand the story. So I said, okay, well, let's try it out. And I remember the first show I did, I came off and I was like, yes,
I needed to do that.
I
I needed to have done
do that. I needed,
yeah.
even when I came off of, because we did 4 shows on 2 weekends, if I remember correctly. But I came off from that weekend thinking, I want to be on stage. I want to, because the reactions I was getting or people were having for the show, it wasn't even about me, but people were thinking, by
I
the
can
way, these things
relate to
actually happen. I
that,
can
yeah.
relate to that story. And for me, it's being able to give someone a mirror when they've never seen a reflection of themselves. Give them an avenue through which to see the deep things they're going through without having to speak it. Because it's a very emotional thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And no one wants to really unpack and unveil themselves in front of everyone.
True,
But as an actor, I have the privilege of showing someone what is on the inside and presenting them with that reality. And sometimes that's all people need.
Yeah.
Is to see that reality and be like, I'm not alone. There's someone else actually going through that. And when I got off, that's why I said there's so much humility in that power.
True.
Because I got off feeling like I am so privileged to be able to take people there. And that's what made me think, I want to do this. I really, really do want to do this.
Wow.
You've played Graciano and Pickering in very amazing musical productions on the Ugandan stage. On the Ugandan stage. Guys. Don't be like,
For emphasis,
traveled,
for
you went to,
emphasis,
like,
yeah.
Shakespeare's home or something. They were on the Ugandan stage. Now, I believe National Theatre, Sheraton as well. Serena and National Theatre. What were your most achievements, like rewarding aspects in these productions?
The people.
The people.
Guys, the people make the project. From mainly even the cast members, because I was doing a lot of these things for the first time, right? I was playing, I was doing a Shakespeare show for the first time. I was playing a 75-year-old man. And that I had the most supportive cast members and production assistant team. They were there for what I needed. They understood if I couldn't show up on time. They were giving me motivation. I beat myself up a lot. I'm one of but I think a lot of creatives do generally. But then having them there as reassurance, because they are able to see, and also having not just reassurance but criticism, right? Like, why was that a choice? Why did you do this like that? Why did you try this like that? So for me, the most remarkable thing, above all else, even above what the audience felt and what the audience told me and how people reacted, was the people I was working with. The things I learned while working with people. I love to learn from people. I think there's no person who shouldn't exist in your life. They are bad people. They are people who are negative in your life, but I don't think they shouldn't exist, because there's something to learn and there's a way to grow. And I'm not saying that all the people are perfect. I'm not saying they were all good people. I'm not saying they all treated me well, but through the people, I learned so much and I grew so much. And I think the amount of growth I got in that period is what some people take 2 to 5 years to learn. Yeah. And so every show
sorry, but I believe you have to be intentional to pick up all that learning.
Yes. You have to take everything as a lesson. Everything is a lesson. So when someone reacts to you a certain way, you're like, what? I'm always doing self-reflection. I'm always looking inside to see, I'm angry, but why am I angry? Why has that made me angry? Why am I angry at that person? Do I have a right to be angry at that person? And then I transfer myself to their shoes. Why would they lash out at me? Is this something they're going through? Is it something? Why would they say that to me? Or even when people treat me well, I'm like, why is someone being so nice to me? Is there an ulterior motive? Why would I think there's an ulterior motive? Do I have something inside, an internal guilt that I have to face and confront? I'm always doing self-reflection, so that's how I learn. That's how you learn from people.
When he says self-reflection, it reminds me, go listen to Patricia's podcast. We do this a lot.
Yeah,
Patricia
episode
talks about
5.
when you do something and you get maybe rejection or there's a reaction on the other side, most times people move on.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, move
But
on.
yourself, yeah.
But then, and for someone who is looking at growth, you sit back and say, but wait, why?
Why did they
Why did
reject
you
me?
reject me?
Yeah, what do they need? What should I work
what should
on?
I work on?
Yeah.
Go back home and say, okay, was that the best I could do today? Why didn't the audience react? Why didn't they clap? What? And seek feedback also and be like, in the midst of
How
all
can I do
self-reflection, say,
better?
how can I do it better? What are other people doing that maybe I'm not doing?
Yeah.
So it's a recurring theme. Go listen to the other podcasts.
And adding to that, there's something I always tell my cast when I'm working with them: don't give up on yourself. Do not give up on yourself. Not just generally, like don't give up, but like
On yourself?
don't give up on yourself. So something has happened. You've gotten sad. You've gotten sad about it, but don't give up on your happiness.
Pick yourself back up.
Don't
yeah.
give up on that. You're like, it will come. Keep working towards it. Do not give up on yourself, because no one is going to invest in you as much as you can.
True that,
No
true,
one.
true.
It does not matter what mentor you have. You can always invest more than what they have, because you are always with you. They're not always with you. You know yourself. You know the things that annoy you. You know how you react to things. You know how you. Now, what I think is the opposite of not giving up on yourself is setting yourself in stone. People will be like, may I always fight? I always fight. I always argue.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. Why?
Look at
Why
you.
always
No,
fighting?
why? Like, can you? Why?
Is it necessary?
Do you know why? Do you know? Is it a trauma response?
yeah.
Is it something you've not dealt with? Are
So
you
don't just
unhappy?
don't just do it.
Don't
know
just
why
be
you're
there and be
doing
like,
it.
I'm actually having a self-reflection right now. Like
So
the
don't-
first thing I tell my bosses, I like conflict. Like, why do
You know?
Why do you like conflict?
No, but like,
yeah.
why? And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's okay for you to stay that way. I'm not saying change all the time.
Just know
but
why.
understand and know yourself. Don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
Because giving up on yourself is setting something in stone and be like, me, I'm a cry. I always cry.
But why are you
But
crying
like,
always?
why? Why
Yeah.
do you cry?
you
Is it
think- have you tried
necessary?
working on
Is
it?
that
Have you tried something else? Have you tried different options? Is this the only way to release your emotions? Then when you know, I always say that when you have a better understanding of why you do things, you have more to learn.
True, true, true.
Because if you're asking yourself why, there are some things you won't have an answer. You know, you'll be like, why am I angry? And then I don't know why I'm angry. Okay, I don't know why I'm angry, but I'm angry. Let me go and cool down. Because how can I react when I don't know why I'm angry?
When he speaks like this, we get back in his bio. He is educated in psychology.
yeah.
So
Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
let me
where
even
that
get
comes
into it.
in.
Like,
so that's where
how
it
did
comes
you-
from.
Yes.
Yes.
What is this? Is this a degree?
No, it's just a certificate.
It's a certificate.
Yeah.
How do you incorporate this in your work, in your musical, particularly in character development and training and storytelling, even?
Yeah.
Because how do you incorporate this certificate, and where did you get this certificate from?
It was an online Harvard certificate.
Oh.
So I didn't actually go to
How are
Harvard
you doing?
school.
Is-
I wish
But
I
we
is-
had an
no,
online
it still counts.
we
Like,
had an online certificate course in social psychology, and the reason I took it is because I have always been the kind of person to ask why. I have always been the kind of person to understand why. Like, you're angry, why?
why are you
There has to be
angry?
a deeper reason. It can't be this plate broke and now you're having a whole breakdown and crying.
Because of a play. Yeah.
No, from a young age, I was that white kid. I was that annoying kid. We should do this.
Why?
Because I said so.
Why?
Why have you said so? Why have you said? And I'm blessed to come from a family that didn't shut that down.
Yeah.
They wouldn't silence that voice. They would answer and be like, then when they don't have the answer, they'd be like, honestly, I don't know. Just do it. Then I could take I don't know, because then it's like, oh, we both have something to learn.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because, when you're younger, you think everyone who is older has all the
Knows
answers.
everything. Yeah.
So I'm asking you why, because you must have an answer.
Yeah.
But when you say I don't know, I'm like, okay, we
So
both
it's
don't know.
everybody.
Okay, cool. We are all confused.
yeah.
But then, so that's why I studied psychology, because I wanted to know the why and understand what makes people react the way they do, and how I can understand myself in relation to everyone around me, and how that helps me in working with, it really helps me in working with people, because then I understand from the moment I meet someone. I'm like, I see certain cues and I'm like, this seems like a deeper thing. Do they look like they want to unpack it? Do they look like they don't? when I approach someone, I want to give them the space to unveil themselves. So I don't come with me. I come with the neutral version of me so that you can unveil yourself at your own pace. So if you come to me with big energy, I'll be like, okay,
Let's
you
go.
know, let's go.
Let's go.
But
Let's
then,
do this.
so I don't, and I recognize that everyone has different things and different levels they are learning themselves. You know, some people don't know themselves as much and some people know themselves more. So that learning about psychology and how the mind works has helped me to pick on certain social cues and just general cues, knowing that this person may not, want me to go the whole way in this friendship, or this person may not want, as a director, this person may not want me to push them harder, because I'm starting to see them maybe close up and shut down. I'm like, okay, I can't push you past the limit you've given me. I mean, I might even think you have potential,
Yet you don't see it yet,
but
and you
at
don't want to.
You don't see it, and I
Yeah.
can't push you past your breaking point.
Yeah.
So he says, as a director, as a director, as a director. And I met you, we recently started interacting, and he's in this amazing space that he's going to tell us about. And they have a production where he is the assistant director. What does it feel like now shifting from being this? Because you told us back then you wrote, you did writing for mental health and anything. Can you find it anywhere?
Nope. Honestly, nope. Sadly, a lot of theater things sort of like
There was no
disappear.
documentation.
No, no recording. and things
Unfortunately.
like that.
But what he's going to talk about is
Well,
still
It's
coming.
still coming up. Yeah.
So,
So,
tell us, as an assistant director for She Loves Me, what is She Loves Me? And how do you feel now leaving the stage to work on something in the background as if?
Oh, I must say it was hard. I must say it was hard. I
you
love
love the stage.
stage.
Yeah.
I really love
I
the
had a
stage.
feeling. I had a feeling. Yeah.
I love the stage, but I'm also one to accept when seasons come and seasons shift. I won't say seasons go because I think it's just a shift. It's just, it's because it's still the same thing. I'm still a creative, but I was shocked when I was asked to be part of. So when I got the call, I was so sure I was being called for an
For
audition.
casting,
I was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't wait to audition.
Yeah.
And then when I was asked to be an assistant director, I was like, are you sure?
Like,
Like, are you certain? I've acted in a total of 5 stage plays. That's
like I'm
few.
good for acting now.
Yeah, that's like few.
Yeah.
And
Still need more.
I was like, I could do another 10 before I direct.
Before I
anything. Let me
direct,
do another
yeah.
10 stage. Let me
Yeah.
be on stage like 10 more times in solid shows.
And I'll
Then
be
I
sure
say,
of
okay,
this. Yeah.
I have experience. Because the 5 I've done, only 2 of them have been completely, big casts and with a professional set. The others have been, we are helping it. We are collaborating to put together this show
Yeah.
and hope that we fill at least 100 seats in the theater.
Hey.
So I felt very, very inexperienced, but then Agatha trusted me with it. So at first it was daunting. I was like, what do you mean?
I'm not ready
I'm
yet.
not ready.
Yeah.
I don't think I am. But with anything, I never want to refuse a challenge. So that's what allowed me to think, you know what? Let me take on this challenge. I've never backed down from a challenge up to now. Why start? Why start saying, oh no, let me back down from this challenge? Let me go ahead at it. And I did the same thing I did for everything else. Research. I went and what's understanding the role of an assistant director? How do they support? How do they bring what they have to the table? And that's when, as I started going and I started working the space, I started to realize that a lot of the experiences I had in my life prepared me for this moment. Growing from the different casts I've been in, from the different courses I've done, from the different places I've been to, different people I've met, from all the research I've done about different things. You won't believe it that doing research about like shopping in Kampala City has helped me as assistant director. doing budgets as a logistic manager helped me understand how to better do budgets and plan for the production. All that experience I got from random things I was doing, not from one singular thing. These are all life experiences. So now I've gotten to see myself in a different light, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning where I am. I'm gracious enough to work with a team that's even able to tell me when I've done something wrong. And because I will never do everything right, but there will still be, now the question is, what's the posture of my heart, right? What's the posture of my heart when I receive that feedback? Like, you shouldn't have done this. This is not something you need to be doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, as assistant director, I should be doing this instead.
So I've
Then
learned
I'm like,
something
oh, I've
from
learned
that.
something from that. I did not come into this thinking I was going to do everything right, but I knew there was something I was going to falter on. And that's something I didn't even talk to Aganza about. I was like, please let me know. Tell me when you feel like I'm not doing something right, because I'm doing this for the first time. And that's another thing that I think generally creatives should adopt. When you take the challenge, but also take the challenge with an open mind and open heart and ready to learn.
You know, we're talking about shift, and I think the season shift is something that people are scared of. Even outside the creative scene, people are scared because now it's time to change. It's time to adapt to something new. You're thinking of all the limitations you have, all the things you need to have but you don't have, all the things that, okay, am I ready for that? And usually people are not ready for change. They're just not ready. So like I said, and never back down. I think it's something to learn. Like, don't hold back. Okay, the change has come and it's inevitable. So try it out. If it doesn't work out, you've learned something at the end of the day. And you're supposed to tell us about the show you're on. So yeah, tell us something about that.
So, She Loves Me is a romantic comedy that is set in the 1930s. I love the story because it's based off these two people who start writing love letters to each other.
I love
anonymous.
I love letters in general.
They write the letters anonymously to each other. And then, so we sort of see how their love story unfolds. And it's very beautiful because I genuinely think that there is someone in the story that everyone can relate to, or everyone has seen. Because as much as it's set in the 1930s, you know, we have a player. We have the girl who
Don't
goes
give
with
out a lot.
No, I'm giving out what's on social media already. We have a player. We have a girl who falls for the bad guys. We have a guy who's a family man. We have these
there's
typical
something to
characters. There's
relate
something
to,
for
yeah.
everyone. There's a young boy who's like 14 also in this whole story of everything. There's an older man who has been married for so many years. So we have these different people in their different walks of life and different seasons that they're in. And we are seeing how they're reacting in this time with this love story. So it's really interesting.
So
it's
if someone
funny
is
also.
listening to this and is like,
I want to watch the show.
comedies. I want to
Yes,
watch
yes.
What do they do?
So Yenze Conservatoire, Yenze Theatre Conservatoire on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Read the blog.
Tap the links. They'll take you there. All of, even the website online, Yenze Theatre Conservatoire we have a website. All the information for purchasing tickets is all on there.
And the date?
And the date. So we have our opening night on the 19th. Oh my goodness, it's a week from now. An opening night. So a theater opening night is because the opening night ticket is more expensive, it's 250,000, while the rest are 100. But the opening night is really the spectacle for everyone to come to come and spread the word.
So it's like the cream?
Yes. Well, no, because every show is going to be exquisite. But then it's a chance to also meet and greet, network with people. We're inviting a lot of important people in the industry. We're having a black carpet actually.
That's even...
that's pretty
Is there a
cool.
dress code?
1930s. Pinterest is your friend, guys.
Pinterest, I was thinking the same
Pinterest is your
When you say that's 1930s,
When
I'm
you get to the
like...
1930s, there are those hats.
Yeah. There's so many elements. At least one element
Do you know
from the
the meme around
1930s.
those capes? Like
No.
guys who put on those capes in this
Oh my
current
goodness, no.
generation don't
No,
pay
no.
back their debts.
What's the meme?
Oh my God! Not
That what?
Not that
No,
debt defaulters. That apparently they don't pay back
they
their
just-
debts. Not that debt
It's the
default.
Peaky Blinders.
Oh,
kind
Peaky
of booklets,
Blinders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's-
Oh.
It's not true,
It's
though.
not true, eh?
Is it?
Yeah,
It's not true.
It's
It's
people
not
being
true.
creative.
Yeah, let's.
If I use the wrong
Yeah.
examples.
Are those creatives?
Uh,
What is who is a creative?
Yeah, we've been thinking about-
We've been having this conversation
in
before.
your point of view.
In my
Yeah,
point of
what's
view, who is a
creative?
creative? A creative is someone who understands the discipline of creating.
Not just someone who creates.
Not just someone who creates. If you
That's a creator.
You know what's funny is that it goes beyond the spectrum of of physically creating. Do you know that public relations is a very creative industry? Guys, coming up with a press release, coming up with brand
Now we need a PR.
marketing,
Yeah,
marketing guys, people who do ads. That's
Yeah,
that's an area in creativity.
I would agree with that.
Right,
I suffer
sitting
just
down.
marketing my own photography,
Yeah.
my own stuff, posting on. I'm like,
And it's work.
And I've
It's
learned that
work.
so much in this season, like having to come up with ideas for posters and guys, the guys who do the marketing and come up with those
Big
things.
ups to you guys, though.
That's creativity.
Yeah.
The guys who come up with the taglines for ads. That's all creativity.
So a guy
it's
who
someone
just
who understands the
understands
discipline
the
of
discipline.
creating.
the discipline of creating.
Because it is a discipline in and out of itself. Because accounting, I wouldn't say, is you're not a creative.
Yeah.
Because that's a fixed.
accountants.
We
Shots
already said
fired.
lawyers are creatives.
So
I'm not doing this lawyer conversation again on this podcast.
So if you understand the discipline of creating means that you're actually grabbing different things that exist and making something else that
Out of
hasn't
it.
existed before. You're not creating something from scratch because you have materials already, but you're creating something that hasn't been seen before.
Yeah.
That could be for anything. That it could be for clothing, it could be for haircuts, it could be for an ad, it could be for
Thank you.
so many things. Furniture, architects, engineers are constantly sitting down designing roads that have never been done before.
Yeah.
So that's why I say the discipline of creating.
As we close,
Yeah.
do you have something you want to ask?
No, I'll ask later.
As we close, we have talked a lot of creative, musical things and whatnot and theater. I'm sure you have a personal life away from all this. So how have all these arts that you've experienced, dancing and whatnot, affect you as an individual? Do you ever
Outside
burn
the
out?
scene.
Do you ever
Oh my goodness,
think about these
guys.
things? How
Burnout.
has this helped you understand life?
I have so much
Burnout
to say.
is so real. I think that's something I'm still navigating, understanding and learning how to rest, and understanding and learning when my body has said, now we have worked. So I think that not too many people know about me is I've worked 2 to 3 jobs since I was 16, currently even working 2 jobs. So I am very familiar with burnout. But I think generally how my life gets I've seen my life really get affected because of my relationships, my friendships,
You
my
get so
relationships with
absorbed
family.
with work.
You know, you become that cousin who never shows up to a family gathering.
Because
have
you're
a
busy.
thing.
Because you have a thing, you
have
have
a
a, you have a
thing,
work.
yeah.
Or you have coursework, you've not finished. You're like, guys, it's either I come and eat
Or I
finish
fail
this coursework. I'm
school.
like, I can't fail school. So it's something I'm still navigating. I'll be open and say that I don't think I've really figured out how to take accurate, ample rest. I think what I'm trying to do is what I do for how I open up my mind. I force myself into things. So now I'll be there and I'll be like, okay, on Saturday morning up to midday, I'll tell the important people that please don't text me. Please. Because once you text me, I'll reply.
You're going to reply.
I'm
Actually,
gonna
you're going to be
like once anyone from work is texting me, and I'm blessed to love my job so much that I want to keep working. So once someone asks me, what about this thing? I'm like, hey,
Let me
now
walk
I'm
you're-
on
starting
that.
to look
now
for
you're
my
in work
laptop.
mode.
I'm at home, but I'm starting to look for my laptop. I'm like, and then I go
yeah,
down the rabbit hole. Before I know it, it's 4, and I was supposed to be
The
off.
whole day is gone.
I was supposed to be off from work, and I've not rested. And then because at the end of the day, that lack of rest affects my performance. It affects my ability to, do my job that I love so much. So I mean, it's a journey. I'm forcing myself to get, those 3 extra hours of sleep on the weekend. It may not be like the whole day on Saturday, because that one I'll be itching to like read my emails. But then, yeah, it's a journey. I think it's a journey. I think creatives just need to make sure you're gracious with yourself and have some patience with yourself.
Okay.
Interesting.
Find okay.
No, like we haven't really. I don't know if we're already ending, but I wanted him to share. Creatives come to the creative scene, they learn, they grow in the scene, and they get to sometimes give back. So I wanted to ask him, do you have plans of giving back in the field you're in or outside that field, or anything? And how do you plan to give back?
I think it's a long-term dream. It's a really long-term dream, but I really, really want to create a college that will be giving out scholarships like no one's problem. I want to
Like you
create
deserve
that,
this, come
like,
get it.
Talented.
come do this
Have money,
audition.
come.
Oh, yeah,
are ready
there
to
you go.
support
Look
you.
at you. You're doing a
Transport.
bachelor's in production management. You're doing because when I think it came on my heart when I was looking for schools. When I had finished, I was looking for schools to go and study production management, because that's something I really wanted to do, or just I love managing shows as much as I love the stage.
Yeah.
I also love like being behind the scenes and putting something on the stage. So I wanted to study that, and there was no course. I was like, what do you
Where?
You guys,
And of
Ugandan
course, everything
system.
I was looking for was on abroad, and I wasn't fortunate enough to afford the intense tuition fee.
Accommodation.
Even oh my goodness, applying for scholarships is like a wrestling match.
True,
It's like
true.
people are writing essays where they're saying, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done
And
this.
you have
and
nothing
you're
to
like,
show.
What
What have I done? You're like, how old am
We
I?
apologize for not making it.
So I saw that and I was like, but that's not fair, because there are so many people, even in the village. There's so many people who are so talented. I've seen videos online of people creating whole fashion designs from leaves. So creative, and you're doing this with leaves and sticks. You're doing I've seen that girl who does the replicates movie scenes
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
village
yeah.
with like sacks, and she's in the gutter, and she's
she does-
doing the whole scene. She's a movie producer as well as a good actor
True,
that
true,
has
true.
not been trained and has not gotten the
And
opportunity.
she doesn't have the opportunity.
And she didn't
to-
have the opportunity, and it breaks my heart.
Or
because there's so
she doesn't have the opportunity, or her parents see that as I'm
As,
sorry
you
to
know,
say,
as a
as,
waste
as
of
just like
time.
entertain. Not even a waste of
Yes.
time, because they are pushing her, but they're like entertain, and then at the back they're like,
study.
you have to be a
These
lawyer,
things
you
are just
speak
for
well.
social media.
I hope it's not what is going
I
on,
hope
but
not,
that's
but that's usually the
the
case.
case behind the scenes. yes.
So I'm still on the journey of learning as much as I can, being part of as many projects as I can to make sure I'm growing my mind, understanding more about the industry, understanding more about what it takes to put together shows and put together systems in place that are working for the next generation. And I mean, it's sad to say sometimes, but sometimes a lot of these changes we may not see in our generation. But I do want to be part of the journey of setting up foundations for the next people, so that at 16, someone is able to be like, let me go and volunteer backstage. There's a volunteer program. Let me go and volunteer backstage at a show.
learn
Let me
something, yeah.
go and be an extra on a film. Let
we
me
go and learn how to do
go and
lights.
learn. Go and learn how to do lights, because they have the opportunity to. Yeah, so as right now, I think I still am trying to learn as much as I can before I can give back. I don't want to give back from an uninformed perspective. So I want to learn as much as I can, be a part of as many things as I can, and then I'll be like, okay, I have all these networks and all these relationships and all these. Now, what do we do with them, guys? How do we come together? Yeah.
I have one more question. I have one more. Okay, so as you was explaining, I was thinking of the Ugandan creative, not the entertainment industry in Uganda, and I think theater is not yet out there as much as it should be. And I wanted to ask you, which category do you think the Ugandan, film and theater industry is in? Do you think it's starting off, it's kicking off, or it's surviving, or it's growing, or it's like already there? Where do you see it at the point? And how much more do you think it will have improved in like 5 years, in 10 years, and
Mm. I think, do you know theater was one of the biggest things in Uganda in the 60s? It was from like people I've talked to, and I love learning from older people and like how what they saw, and it was the biggest thing. It was the highest grossing entertainment
Theater like
back
what?
then.
I'm
you
actually
know,
now remembering my
it
parents.
was the biggest.
Used
It
to
was
Yeah.
such a
used to go
thing.
You're
for
remembering, right?
theater,
Yeah,
yes.
and my mom
Oh
talks
my
about
God,
it.
yeah.
My grandparents talk about how they used to go for these shows, and it used to be a thing like every Friday.
Every
and
Friday,
then some
yes.
shows would even run for 7 months. They're doing the same show every Saturday, and then at the age of TV came,
And people
then
lost
it started
sight of
to go
it.
down. It started to go down, but not just. It didn't just start to go down in terms of attendance. It started to go down in terms of investment. It started going down in terms of viewership. And as long as people are not seeing things, as that thing is going to stop.
Because
You
what's the point
What's
if
the
people are
point?
not
What
coming
you
for?
doing it
Yeah, yeah,
for?
yeah.
It's not for a bunch of seats.
Yeah.
As long as people stop, the biggest investment is the investment of attendance. That's the biggest investment. Yes, there's a money investment. There are people that partners we need
But
to
if
come and put in
people we're
money.
doing
But
for are not here,
if the people with the money put the money in the show,
they
and
want to
there's
see
no
people
one
come
to
for
attend
it.
the
Yeah.
show, even if let's say in an ideal world where the investors don't care about a return on investment and they just
Yeah.
want to put money, still, what's the point?
Yeah.
We have done the show and no one is there to see it. What's the point? So without that investment of attendance, it has dropped. That's why it's at a level now where it feels like we are starting again. It feels like we're trying to raise the standard again. And there are certain big shows that have come and have put the standard up there. Even Hope the musical and different shows that have come between, like, let's say the early 2000s and now, that have come. But now the goal should be to make them frequent. It shouldn't now be, hey, finally, there's a show at the National Theatre
Right.
and whatnot. And there are frequent shows at the National Theatre, but then a lot of people don't know about them.
True,
because
true,
a lot of
true.
people don't understand.
What it's
What?
about.
Like recently, someone told me, "Where is the National Theatre?" I said, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, yeah. There's some.
What?
Like they actually asked me, "Where is the National Theatre? Where can I come on?" And I'm like, "Have you lived in Uganda?" And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've lived in Uganda
All my life,
And I was
yes.
like, "And you
There's so
don't
many
know where
people
the
that
National
don't know the
Theatre
National
is."
Theatre.
But
Yeah.
then it also opened my mind to that. Like there's a lot
But
of
they know we're metro
lack
places.
of knowledge. Yeah, there's a lot
They
of-
do.
But I think it's because of there's a lack of collaboration. I don't think we should fight against each other. It's all the entertainment industry. It's all entertainment. It's all. So I think there should be a lot more support for different industries. I don't think that they should be those theater guys. They have
Their money.
then the TV guys.
They
are
have
the
their
real
people.
celebrities.
Yeah.
Then, we have, of course, we have the radio guys and they're in their own world. I think generally as an entertainment
Industry.
there should be a lot more collaboration, a lot more teamwork.
True, true.
There should be ads of shows at the National Theatre going on TV. There should be premieres for TV shows at the National Theatre. There could be, all this collaboration needs to happen. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
No, then ask. I feel like, okay.
I feel like he could actually answer it. What's the question though?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Schools, the MDDs. Ah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my brother had eight. Yeah. The other side, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Serena. Serena has been asking a question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
We took a minute to listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's more of secondary school and the secondary schools and the influence they have on theater, as we see certain schools
Not
pick
even
their
certain
culture.
all schools do MDJs.
No.
Not all, but like a
For real?
majority.
I went to school.
You guys didn't go to
I had the
traditional
opportunity
schools
to go to
then.
school.
You guys didn't go to
And-
traditional schools.
And traditional schools, it's theater, but I can say for I was even a house prefect, and we did the same plays
Over and over
from
again.
primary to secondary. We did the same folk songs. We did the same plays.
Damn.
The only time, and I didn't go to a bad school, by the way. I went to a school that was just a 3K judge to the National Theatre. It was right
There.
smack in the city.
So the
Yeah.
monotony would get
But
boring though.
I had about plays when I was out of school it was the international or the semi-international schools that were staging these plays. And I'm not talking only modern plays, but plays, because you guys, the plays we did in secondary school for the times for MDT.
Yeah.
It was the same theme.
No,
in my school. So there is that.
we didn't have the same thing.
You see different schools.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
What's the role? Summarize the question.
Yeah,
And
what's
then
the role of
what's the role of
high
secondary
school,
school
schools
and
towards
in this
theater?
theater?
Do they really influence?
I think they do, because not only do they expose the next generation to the joy of performing on stage, but they also bring people, like people who are coming to support them to the National Theatre to see that there is a possibility at the National Theatre. So I like that schools do that, but I also think people stop there. That's the problem.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
stop there at
What can be done for them to come
the
back?
It was part of the
it
school's
was part of the school
program.
program.
Yeah.
And then for the people who loved it and wanted to do it again, they come out of secondary school and they're like, okay.
Where should I start?
Then they're being sent to accounting, which is an overpopulated degree. And they're being sent to business management, business administration, and not even able to get jobs or not being able to do what they love. So I think I love the fact that schools play a role, but then the role needs to be more in depth, where they can actually talk to these students about shows that are going on. And I'm so glad that we've been able to talk to students. As BNZ has gone to schools and talked to the schools about the shows, and also like inform them about what's happening and the show we're doing and the story of the show, and allowed kids to grow that interest to actually want to tell their parents and say, oh, I want to go and watch this show. I want to go and see. And through that, then you bring the parents, and then you allow the parents to see that there's actually something going on here. And so I think the task on our side, there's only so much we can control, because as much as the schools play a big role, we can't go to them and say, go make sure you make this communication in your things. But the role we have to play is when they do come, give them quality and give them a high standard of performance so that they are drawn to come back. And that has been our goal, to make sure that we are giving a high quality performance. And I know there are a lot of shows that happen at the National Theatre that are high quality. So it should be our role collectively, not even just as YNZ, but our role genuinely as different production houses that do show the National Theatre, is make sure the standard is high and try and push for that high standard so that people can come and see, you know what, quality. There's quality here, because of the decline in viewership, people automatically think, the quality is also, like people are not going, why? Because it's not good. But then when people come and spread the word about the high quality, then you have shows that students can come and watch and be part of when they're out of high school.
And if a theatre lover is listening to this, there are different places he has mentioned. Yenze Theatre Conservatoire. Off the top of my head, I've heard of Tebere Arts Foundation. Please go check them out. Also, the Mariam Dagire Foundation. as well? Are there any other places you would recommend a theater lover who would love not to just watch but also be part
of
of
yeah.
grow and learn this theater thing in Uganda?
I'm not remembering them off the top of my head currently, but I do think they're easy to find.
Please, we'll
They're easy
link a
to
couple
find.
of
Those-
things
Yes,
down
there'll
there.
be a
We'll link
link.
it down. Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
yeah.
of these
Link those
things.
down
But I
there.
also think they're easy to find if you do your research, because they're not that many. They're not like in the hundreds. They are a bit few. So this goes back to research. You don't wait for someone to come and tell you, oh, by the way, there's an audition. Oh, by the way, you can search on Instagram and search hashtag trigger words. Go on TikTok. Go on. Because of the plethora of information online, all these foundations post on either websites or TikTok or whatever, Twitter, Instagram, and any of those platforms, you can do research and find out. And because of the nature of the internet, you'll go down the rabbit hole and find so many things that I might not even know, even as I'm in the industry. So do research.
Do research.
Make a research.
Let's make research. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Simeon,
It's
for
been such a pleasure.
taking your time and talking
been
to us
such a
about
pleasure.
theater. You guys, I'm starting to like theater.
Yeah, I feel like theater is more interesting
I
now.
will be there.
Going into the world to convert people.
We will be there for She
Theater.
Loves Me.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
Amen.
life at a time.
Amen. A lot of amazing things. Please do not forget to buy your tickets
For the She Loves Me show.
production happening
Next, the weekend of the night, so 19th, 20th, 21st, and the very next weekend, 26th, 27th, 28th. Yes.
Thank you. We want to thank the Media Challenge Initiative
Yeah.
for giving us the space where we are shooting this. It's our very first video, so it may not be that cool, but
We are getting
got a haircut
there. We get
for it. So
It's so fresh though.
yeah, I
It's
got
so
a haircut for this video. So, but also thanks to UNESCO for putting in the support and powering this podcast. This is the MF Pod, and catch you on the next episode. There's going to be like a nice,
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask something. Normally when people are interviewed, you'd be like, the guest is told, it says, follow me on my socials.
Oh,
Do you want
have
to-
social media?
Do you want to do that?
Do you have social
Do you
media?
have social media?
Oh my
that-
goodness, I am one of those creatives who fear social media. I know it's strange. It's so strange.
Very.
Okay, Simeon
With all
Lacoste.
this flair.
Right? It has so much to offer.
Fashion. We didn't even talk about his
my
fashion. We are going to
God.
bring him back to talk about
For
his
fashion,
channel
yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
We should have him back
Also,
for that.
just for Mike Alango, please go check my Instagram. His pictures will be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Simeon Lacoste on all platforms. It's
Okay.
Simeon
Simeon
Lacoste.
Simeon.
SIMEON LAKUST.
His name is right there.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Down below.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First is going to take over. Thank you for
Yeah. Subscribe.
Subscribe.
And like and
guys.
comment all of it.
Yes. All of that.
mfpod.com.
mfpod.com.
The Mofrem podcast.
Don't say you didn't hear it. I
Right?
beg.
Don't say we didn't say it.
Don't say we didn't say it. Oh, that was so fun.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Moframe podcast. We hope you've been inspired by our journey through Uganda's creative landscape. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. Keep creating and catch you on the next episode.